Mike, I'm really, really grateful and thankful for you to come on board our Your Voice, Your Legacy session. We had our mini session last week, and of course, we were just going on and on. But
Yeah.
it is really kind of you, and I really am grateful for your time today. As you know, the Your Voice, Your Legacy with the Insurance Collective, we connect with insurance professionals, pioneers, trailblazers, legends who are doing great things in the insurance industry, not just in Singapore, but the rest of the countries as well. And today it is such a pleasure and honor to have you from the Philippines to share your voice, to share your thoughts, your journey in the insurance industry. And if we could start off, Mike, perhaps you could give us an introduction about yourself and what you do in the insurance space.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me. Right. And I'm very eager to share. A lot of people have been following me recently with regards to my content. In terms of my history, my journey, I started just recently, 2019, in the insurance industry. I started out part-time, as many of our financial advisors here in the Philippines do. And then I was a former IT consultant. So I've been doing user experience, design thinking, and business development for my former company. Oh, I joined the insurance industry because I had what you call that? I have a history of supposed claim, but it was for my wife
Right,
who had
right,
a stroke in 2014, but unfortunately she didn't have insurance. So from then, I understood that I have to help with this kind of advocacy, this mission of securing people's future. That's why I joined the insurance industry.
right.
And since then, I've been doing a lot of talks, not just for customers, but also for other financial advisors,
Mhm.
at other insurance companies, not just for ours.
Well, so that's a very interesting journey that you've gone through, Mike. And sometimes when I have conversations and sessions with professionals, insurance professionals like yourself, there was always that tipping point, the
Yeah.
reason why they got into the industry. And it's a very compelling story for them to get into it. And you have shared with us very openly the reason what was the true reason and the conviction into coming into the industry. Now, since then, Mike, 2019, it's just a short period of time, almost
Yeah.
2 years in the industry. What are your experiences in the insurance industry? Was it what you thought it was going to be?
Oh, well, I think it was a jump in icy cold waters for me. When I joined the insurance industry, I actually shopped for different insurance companies. I went through five insurance companies in the Philippines. I attended all their webinar. No, it wasn't webinars back then because that was pre-pandemic. So it was face-to-face seminars. I attended all of them, but my goal was to understand the business model.
Hmm.
Because if I was going to jump into in the industry full time later on, I would want to start in a company that has a good business model for my growth, right? So, but to answer your question with regards to uh for that, the reason why, wait, sorry, can you backtrack? I lost my train of thought there.
No worries. It's more of what were your experiences and how is it going so far? Since
All right, all right, all right.
yeah.
So my experiences, so since then, since I shopped, right, when I jumped into this, it was more of it was an eye opener
Hmm.
because I was coming from a point that I really believed in the insurance, why I needed it because I didn't have any. I lost a lot of money for the expenses for my wife's treatment and the medical expenses. So I was expecting a lot of people would have the same kind of belief that they would need insurance for to cover expenses, medical expenses like that. But when when I started talking to people, it was after probably for the first 3 months it was great
Hmm.
because I was talking to people who understood my story.
Right,
But
right.
after 3 months, it was an entirely different thing. I was starting to talk to people who didn't value insurance, who didn't value the essence, the importance, and the benefits of having one.
Right.
And in the long run, I discovered that a lot more people didn't have that belief, that
Mm,
the same belief, that they believe that insurance was just an expense.
mm,
That's how bad it is in the Philippines.
mhm.
You have to do a lot of mind bending.
Yeah.
You have to do a
Right.
lot of influencing and negotiating even with people rather than, I think in the other countries it's more of people really wanting to
Mm,
have insurance,
mhm.
having coverage, right?
Well, that's interesting. You're so right, and I've noticed this trend as well. You know, the fact that you said that people consider insurance an expense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is voiced by many other people that I've had sessions with,
Yeah.
especially in countries like Indonesia or Cambodia or Myanmar, where it is such a new concept, right? It's something that it really puts a full stop or a handbrake when people think about their finances. How much can we apportion for insurance? Because it can be a savings tool, it can be a retirement tool. In all essence, it's a protection tool, right? Insurance in the various forms and fashion.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
true.
to ask you this question, right, Mike? And we spoke about this on the last bit as well. Your experiences in design thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
Yeah.
how do you bring that? Maybe you could give us a bit of exposure about what design thinking is and how did you bring it into your insurance industry and your insurance business? Because I find that really interesting.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Being a design thinker, all the solutions that basically design thinking is all about understanding or accepting that the people who have the solutions to the problem would be the people who are experiencing the problem in the first place.
Mhm.
Right?
Got
So that's the gist of the concept of design thinking. So how I use design thinking concepts in what I do, I actually utilize that in two parts of the business. It's number one for my customers, and
Mhm.
number two for the agency that I'm building. Right. So for the first one, in terms of customers, it's the belief that they know what they want. They would know what they need, right? Not just the need, but the wants, right? So how I flesh that out, I used a combination of coaching methods,
Yeah, yeah.
really more of asking, listening, understanding, asking again, just to really flesh out and make them realize that they know that they need insurance, right? Using design thinking, and that they can customize.
Mhm.
So because the problem with many financial advisors here in the Philippines is that they're given a template. Right?
Mm,
In a
yeah,
template, this is what you sell. This is what you offer.
right.
So people um, have that feeling that they have no choice. They can't customize their policies. And and when someone comes in like me who uses design thinking, they get a different experience. Wow, they we I didn't know we can change our benefits. I didn't know we can change our policies and like that. And then for the agency, in the agency building, I use design thinking to help the leaders form new programs that
Mhm.
the agents want to use.
Right. So
It's not.
it's so interesting. I like that. Perhaps you can expand more on the agency part of it. So what I'm trying to gather here is there is a design thinking element on the consumer front, the policy
Yes.
front. There is a design thinking on the agency business front of it all,
Yes, there
where
is.
the individuals come up with their own solutions based
Yeah.
on the questions that they put to dig and dig deeper. That eventually is an aha moment for them. They're like, yeah, this is what I want.
Yes, yes. So for the agency part, I've held about 6 to 7 design thinking workshops for various agencies
Right.
in the company. So I haven't gone outside the company just to give the company a head start in terms of changing things up. So initially I would run the design thinking workshop with leaders. For example, if you have an agency and then you have the managers under that branch, for example, and we would come up with programs based on what the managers feel that they would need from the branch.
Right. Right.
And in turn, the managers, I empower them to run design thinking workshops as well for their agents.
Yeah, right,
But not everyone can run workshops, right?
right,
So
right.
some of these unit managers, what they do is they also employ me to run a one day design thinking workshop with their agents to just really flesh out
Mhm.
what would agents need in terms of, or what they feel can work for them in terms of recruitment,
Yeah.
adding more people, inviting more people, or even in terms of production. Is prospecting working for them? Is this particular activity working for them? And then what actual activities would they want to do? So in the end, what would happen is uh, there would be a lot of ideas, right?
Mhm.
So at the end, they would need to score amongst themselves, amongst the participants, which of these activities would they really want to utilize for this year
Right,
or for this quarter, whatever period they would want to run a particular program.
right.
So that has worked. Actually, it has worked for our agency.
Yes.
The six other agencies that I've worked with, they have been saying that it has been working for them. Not 100%, because there will always be fallouts in terms of this is a good idea at the start, but it
Yeah,
wouldn't be a good idea later on when they figure out that there's some cost challenges, right? But 80%, I feel that it's a good number, 80% success rate in terms of the programs that they run.
that's great. I love what you do, Mike. That's very similar to what we do at the Insurance Collective as well, right? The whole idea is to elicit what
Yeah.
works and then put on the side what does not work for the time being, because most
Mhm.
ideas are very conceivable. It depends on whether the unit comes together as a team to
Yes.
achieve those. So I'm pretty certain, because we have experienced this as well, there are so many challenges that come about with that. But what are the top challenges that the consultants or the agency leaders face in the Philippines? In that design thinking process, what are those problems that come out more often than
That's a very interesting question. In the Philippines, when it comes to agency building, the problem that usually came out are two. There are top two problems, and that would be increasing the manpower
not? Hmm.
and then leadership development.
Right, right.
Actually, when it it everything stems from the recruitment part. But when we try to deep dive
Uh-huh.
why is it so hard to recruit people, it's because the people who are recruiting or are inviting more people are just few. There are too few of them.
Right, right.
That's why the byproduct would be uh leadership development. There aren't too many leaders wanting to become agency builders,
Hmm.
and that's why there's so few people coming in.
Well, and how can that challenge be overcome, Mike? How can we
Okay.
look at fixing that issue? Because it's very different here in Singapore. Everybody recruits, everybody moves into the process. But again, the fundamental byproduct is that while there are more people who are willing to recruit an agency, manage, and build,
Mm-hmm.
the problem is their storyboard strong enough to attract the right individuals into the group or into the business?
Yeah. So in terms of the solution, or maybe I'll give a different a backgrounder on why
Mm.
people feel that it's so hard to recruit here in the Philippines. It's primarily because, well, what came out from the design thinking workshop is that there have been so many MLMs here in the Philippines. So
Okay,
I think the other countries would have the same kind of challenge,
right, right,
that the population has been bombarded with a lot of MLMs recruiting here and there and inviting here and there, and they got burned because of the high capital that they need to invest for these MLMs, that they feel that insurance is the same.
right. Okay, I get you. Yeah,
So these MLMs, not meaning that they're bad, right? The MLMs, but they they put a dent in the perception of people that when they're being recruited for a part-time career, it's like it's going to be a high capital investment as a start,
right,
and that it won't work for them because they need to sell.
right,
So
right.
that's the essence of the problem when it comes to recruitment on the consumer end. On the agency end, it's really people needing to build that, as you said, a storyboard or a brand that people would think that they're not being recruited to sell,
Mm-hmm.
that they're being recruited to help with the mission of securing the future of Filipinos.
Right. Correct.
It's more of that. So it's not even a branding problem. It's a perception problem here in the Philippines. That's why it's so difficult to one, recruit, two, and have more people wanting to recruit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's such a interesting insight to it. I never thought about it in that perspective, but really thank you for that one, Mike. It really opens the eyes. And I like what you said, right? Securing the future of your fellow Filipinos.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the essence and ethos of what the entire recruitment process is all about, I think there will be a huge paradigm shift.
I hope so. I hope
Huge
so.
shift in that. Well, thank you for that one, Mike. And of course, we're going to touch base into one very interesting journey of yours, your MDRT story, which we would love to really dive into. But before we get into that, Mike, what does MDRT mean to you or for you? We spoke about this the last time, but we couldn't capture it. So now this time around, what does it mean?
All right. My MDRT story. But before that, again, you said that MDRT. What does MDRT mean for me?
Yeah.
Here in the Philippines, MDRT, when you're in the industry, it's really the pinnacle of everything, of everyone's journey. As a financial advisor, as an individual advisor. So when I joined, I had no idea about MDRT. It's like, what's MDRT? My manager kept on saying, go be an MDRT, be an MDRT. I was like, okay, all right. I didn't even research.
Right.
So on my first year, I thought I reached MDRT because I almost hit the requirements. But I found out that I needed about just 10,000 pesos more. So that was just that small amount. So in the following year, I made it a decision that I wanted to become an MDRT because all the MDRTs started flocking to me. Hey, Mike, Coach Mike, you only needed a few more to reach MDRT last year. Do it again this year and reach it. I was like, okay, so what is MDRT actually? So I started asking around. So they said that if you're an MDRT, you belong to the top 2% of financial advisors worldwide. The cliche of it, right? The global definition of MDRT.
Yes.
But to me, being an MDRT is more of a two things. It's a brand that I want to have as not just being a part of the top two financial advisors worldwide, but more of as a brand of excellence.
Mhm.
That I really mean what I do. That I'm in this journey for the long haul. Right?
Mhm.
That's number one. Number two is that MDRT is a proof to my former employers that I can really make it big here. I can do a lot of things in this particular industry.
Right, right. Well, those foundations are pretty strong and compelling enough for you to move forward with that.
Yeah.
And so what are your plans though? Now you also coach and you mentor, which is how we connected as well. So what is your moving forward, right, Mike? There are many young financial consultants who have come into the industry, rookie consultants who have come into the industry. And what would your advice be for them? What would be that one key takeaway? If MDRT is the goal, right? What would your take be on that? And what words of wisdom could you share with us on that?
Okay. That's a very interesting ask. I've given so many advice to, especially for my MDRT mentees and the coaches. And one thing really, I probably share one thing that very much resonated with all of them
Mhm.
is that MDRT is no easy task. It's no easy journey. But you would want to reach for MDRT because it's going to be your ultimate goal.
Mhm.
Whatever you do, whatever you do here in this industry, if you reach for the hardest thing, you will really reach the heights that you expect to reach here. Meaning that if you reach for MDRT, since it's the highest, you will eventually reach all the other goals that you would
Right,
want to
right,
reach here. And
right.
at the same time, you are an MDRT, and your journey to becoming an MDRT would help a lot of Filipinos.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a win-win situation for yourself,
That's
for
right.
the people around you, for the people who don't know you yet, right? It's there's nothing to lose if you're vie for MDRT.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would say that you would lose your sanity if you try to run for MDRT, especially in the Philippine setting where you have a lot of challenges, perception challenges from the people around you, even especially your relatives, right? But if when you start overcoming, when you start getting nearer to the MDRT, you start overcoming all those challenges. And later on, the following years would eventually become easier because you started.
Mm.
You 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 stepped into the journey, into the path. And when you start on the MDRT path, there's no going out of it.
Right,
You
right.
will want to keep on becoming MDRT because it's you're already part of your brand. Why
Correct.
would you want to lose it?
Correct. Which comes to that question of sustainability, right? As what we spoke about. Once you have reached a certain level of where the MDRT is, how does the MDRT then move on year in, year out? And many people are on the honor roll. They've been doing it for 20 years, 25 years. As I shared with you, my mother has been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Uh, but I understand also something beyond the sustainability, Mike, if you would indulge me in this, is that do the reasons for MDRT change along the way? So when you first start out, it's more about a monetary, financial feather on your cap moment.
Hmm.
It moves and transcends into what you said. The journey of MDRT really fulfills and uplifts the lives of the fellow Filipinos or fellow countrymen of wherever you are.
Yeah.
So this transcension of it all, this evolution of it all, what are your thoughts about that? And has that changed for you?
Okay. When you start journeying into MDRT, you would really feel the income,
Mm-hmm.
especially when once in the first year you hit it. But after that, it really becomes it becomes a part of you.
Mm,
And once you become an MDRT, if I have friends who have gone through MDRT for three times, 3 years, but on the fourth year they suddenly fall out.
right.
And when I interviewed them, how did it feel like? So their answer was very compelling for people who want to continue, right?
Mm,
They said that when they lost their MDRT status on the fourth year or the fifth year, they felt that there was something missing.
mm,
So they really wanted to bounce back.
right, right.
And I feel that there were a lot of Filipino MDRTs who dropped out of the race when the
Hmm.
pandemic happened.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
And fortunately, the MDRT, what they did was they allowed the past MDRTs to retain their MDRT status, right? And that left these people still wanting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to have it just not as a feather on your cap, but as part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really becomes part of you because you, aside from the learnings that you get from the MDRT community, it's more of when people outside of the industry look at you and they see you as an MDRT, they have that question, what's an MDRT? Why are people so enamored by it? Why are people so why are your co-financial advisors looking up to you as an MDRT? And that gives you a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Well, that's great, Mike. I really truly thank you for those moments. It really brings back my memories of MDRT, right? And it is certainly something, as you said, I really pull that and appreciate that it is not just a feather in the cap. It's part of you. It's part of your being. It's part of your dignity and passion for the
Yes,
industry. And,
exactly.
so it really has been such a fulfilling session, Mike. May I also then, before we wrap up, indulge you in asking for your thoughts and your values in some form of action that the entire insurance collective community from across the region may benefit from. So if you could give us a couple of lines on what you take. I mean, I love that slogan back, you know, dream big, never give up your focus. I mean, that's great, but perhaps could you share with us something more meaningful from your heart?
Okay. Um, my message for the entire insurance community, international, right, or regional, is that what we do, each of our communities have different perceptions of the importance of insurance, and I feel that we have people have to start, or advisors have to start stepping out of the paradigm that they are only selling insurance.
Mm-hmm.
It's people need to feel that we really care about their well-being, their welfare, especially their finances.
Right.
And that's why we have to also not just be gung-ho and chase after these clients for the sake of income and commissions, but really to make them feel that we're approaching them because they need something, or we're offering something that they would want, not just what they need. The challenge with many financial advisors here in the Philippines is that they were recruited with the mindset that they would earn a lot, and the mission gets lost in the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go back there because a lot of people are looking for income regionally, right? A lot of people are looking for extra income, but a lot of these people also value the concept of them earning because of a wonderful and noble mission, that the commission just becomes a bonus.
Too. Yes. Very well said, Mike. I truly appreciate that. And I'm very certain it will resonate from everyone in the community. Yeah, both in the Philippines and any part of where the insurance collective has its people in its community at. I'm truly grateful for that, Mike, and I'm really looking forward to working with you soon on a scale. Perhaps one day we'll come back to Philippines and see what we can work together as a community to
Yeah.
really share your experiences and your thoughts and values. I'm truly grateful. We at the Insurance Collective are very grateful. So thank you, Mike, once again.
Thank you also for having me.
A pleasure, and connect soon, buddy.